Hey guys and welcome, this is Carnalbird5 and today I'm starting a defensive scheme series. My new defensive scheme will be known as Takeaway Middle and Recover, also known as Tamer. So today will be the introduction to the series and we're talking about forcing baseline and playing ice defense on pick and rolls. There's a lot of other defensive philosophies and schemes I want to share with you guys, but this is just going to kind of progress as we go. This is just this, building block for this scheme. Just a quick preview of some other things we'll be talking about, and I think that is the most important things on defense. That is limit transition, when to play on ball and off ball. Because me personally, I have a rule I like to play 70% on ball, 30% off ball. Tempt the defense to shoot long shots and get good contest on them manually. Know how to play superstars. Know, should you double on the drive? Where should you bring your help from? Should you zone them? Also, we're going to be talking about how to take advantage of weak offensive players and essentially playing 5-on-4 on the defensive end. So we're going to be taking whoever's guarding that player and kind of just moving him around on defense. It's going to help us a lot starting pick and rolls. We'll be able to do this for every single base. Again, we'll get to that later. And then lastly, taking good shots. That is also very important for having a good defense, believe it or not. And that's one thing that leads to, or that ties in with limiting transition. If you take bad shots, it's going to be harder to limit transition. So I gave you guys all my main pointers on defense. Again, today we're going to be talking about forcing baseline, the ice screens, and my new defensive scheme is known as Tamer. It's nothing crazy. Again, it's just we're taking away the middle, and we're going to be recovering with a big. So I'm going to show you some ways in which I do it, and I will show you guys how teams do it in real life as well. So hope you guys enjoy this series. Let's get started. Alright guys, so starting off, we're going to be talking about forcing baseline. This is definitely the most important aspect to this technique, and as you see here, as we're showing real footage, how NBA teams like to force baseline. You see Jimmy Butler and Noah play a good defense on that pick and roll and force baseline. Again, we're going to show you guys how the Spurs like to defend this pick and roll. We have a side screen. Parker forces him to the sideline, and he's able to stay with him and recover to contest that shot. Another screen and roll here, as you see, the Grizzlies forced sideline as well, and Randolph was able to recover and contest. So that's going to be the main aspect of our defense. So now let's get into the defensive settings. So pay attention here. These are pretty important. For defense focus, I like to do neutral defensive focus. For aggression, I would recommend either conservative or neutral, either one. It's up to you guys. And we want to definitely make sure we crash the defensive glass as well as limit transition. And again, we're going to talk about transition defense and all of that later. Once you guys have your POE set, you want to make sure you press start at the beginning of the game. Go to your defensive settings and make sure you guys change force direction to baseline for everybody. And again, we're going to get into individual defense settings later on, but this is for everybody on the team. So we want to force them baseline, obviously. Leave the pressure on auto. For on-ball screen and on-ball screen center, you want to put it on ice. And then for the hedge on center, you want to put no hedge or leave it on auto. It's up to you guys. If you leave it on auto, you might see, some more aggressive hedging, which could definitely, come back to bite you if you're facing a good roller. In the post, you can play, you can play the bottom or you can play directly behind. That doesn't matter as much. So now we're going to take a look at some defensive settings, and my opponent is using the Nuggets. So I didn't change too much. I know their point guard can't shoot. So what I like to do is I like to look for the shooters and go to deny. So I figured out their center could shoot, Fareed can't shoot, and Gallinari can shoot, and Gary Harris can shoot too. So I like to put deny. If you guys don't put deny, they will get lost in the defensive rotation. So let's show you guys what I'm talking about forcing baseline and using this ice technique. Again, this is online footage, so this is just a general concept, guys. Force baseline, take away that middle. The whole point of forcing baseline is you have an extra defender to the sideline. If they can't run out of bounds, it's essentially an extra defender, so it's easier to defend. If you guys force to the middle, it breaks down the defense and leads to defensive breakdowns because your guys have to collapse. You do not want to force middle. More often than not, you do not want to force middle. There's certain times you can. So the whole concept is to force baseline. So now we're going to talk about how to use Tammer on the side screens. The side screens is what's most effective against the ice technique because we're essentially forcing that direction. So they're usually going to get good contact on the screen. So there's numerous ways you can play it. You can take control of your point guard and manually, adjust, but you have to be careful because they might cross you over and go back to the middle. You can also play the big, do a soft hedge and then recover, or you can manually bring a guard over like I did there and stole that pass. If you're facing a team that has, somebody that can't shoot, feel free to play off that guy and take a guard over and go for those interceptions. There's a lot of ways you can play this, but the side screen is essentially the best way to counteract ice, but you can still defend it very, very well if you know your personnel and know what your opponent is trying to do. So right here, I kind of got lucky there on the block. So, but again, guys, look at this. See how we're forcing baseline here, or not how we're forcing baseline, but you see how the Bulls force baseline. All right, I know I showed this earlier, but let me show you guys this. Doesn't this look awfully similar to real life basketball and what I showed you and what the Bulls are trying to do? He tries to bring a side screen. I was still able to force him baseline. I got help from my big. I was able to recover and forced him to a contact layup, and he missed. Sometimes they'll make them, but more often than not, they'll miss them, and that's what we want to play. We want to play the odds here. So now we want to get into how to defend the middle screens, and these should come naturally when you're running ice. Your on-ball guy will take away that screen, so there will be no contact, and it essentially will allow your guys to stay at home on defense. There will be no defensive rotations necessary if you guys can, take away that contact from your on-ball defender. If he doesn't get any contact from the screen, then you're good. That's your money. That's what the whole point of it is. So you want to force him baseline and just stay with it and recover. There, my opponent did get an open shot, but I kind of just want to show you guys, how you can defend this. You can defend this. I like to let the computer on the side screens, or on the middle screens, I like to let the computer play defense, and I kind of like to play off ball a little bit. However, on the side screens, I like to play more on ball. So now we're going to take a look at some defensive rotation breakdowns. Alright, so we're showing some real basketball here, and see how the Brooklyn Nets play this screen. They force him to the middle. Their hedger was not fast enough to recover, and there was no help defense. You have to have one of the two guys. You have to have either really good help defense, or the guy that's containing the pick and roll, that's guarding that's doing the hedging, or no hedging, I guess. He has to be quick enough to be able to recover and help, as well as recover and get back to his man if he can shoot. So you have to pick your poison and know how to defend it. And you see here another breakdown on defense. They get a nice little floater. So this is the whole point. You don't want to force middle. It breaks down your defense. As you see here, Duncan gets a nice little bank shot, and that's money for Duncan. So that's why we want to take away the middle, guys. It breaks down your defense. If we force to the sideline, we essentially have, a sixth defender. Alright, so we see some footage there, and we do give up an open three. And if you guys go back and see that, the reason I gave up open three is because I brought too much help defense, and later on I adjusted my defense for that. So you can run into problems here if you bring too much help defense, or if your big is too slow to recover and help contain the pick and roll. So keep that in mind. So this is a tactic I like to use when running Tammer. It's called the bait and recover, and again, this is more of an off-ball tactic. So let me just show you guys. See, the computer does a job for you if you run the ice and they try to go middle. They will force them baseline. And then I switched over at the last second to contest that shot. I kind of dared him to contest that shot. And that's what you want to do out of these pick and rolls. The mid-range is the least effective shot, the least efficient shot in the NBA. So if you hate your opponent taking contested, long mid-range shots, that's what you want. Again, we take away the middle, the computer does, and we manually contain with our big man. As we see here, I don't play 100% on ball. I like to play about 70%. And here, sometimes what I like to do is I like to take a guard when the ball is in the post or inside, and I'll run at them and then run right back because I know they're going to throw it right back, and that's what I call the bait and recover tactic. Again, here I manually take away the middle as he did a side screen. I help down, and I got him to take a contested long shot, and that's exactly what we want. You almost have to anticipate that your opponent is going to, pass it and shoot it. You just have to have good anticipation. Like right here, I figured he was going to swing and shoot it. It was a really bad shot, and we got the contest on it. He should have kicked it back. As you see here, we force baseline. He gets it to the elbow. He kicks it back. We keep playing good on-ball defense. He's going to call for another pick and roll. We're going to take that away from him. He's going to set a side screen, and we're going to, we get good help from our hedger, and we actually, contained with our point guard there, and we baited him to take that long shot with a center who can actually shoot, but we got a good contest on it. That's what I'm talking about, bait and recovery, guys. Same thing here. We got our opponent to go baseline. We left the big man open on the 15-footer, and we dared him to shoot that, and it was not a good shot. So if you guys want to look at some defensive statistics, that was when my opponent was using the Nuggets. That was just the first half. Alright guys, so that's going to do it for our introduction video to our defensive scheme, Tamer. Make sure you guys like and sub for more NBA 2K content, and I will see you guys next time. This is Carl number 5 signing out.